All right, so we've spent a lot of time talking about citizens and the rights of citizens and how citizens feel connected to their communities. And now it's time to talk a little bit about exactly what government is and how it works. Okay, what did the U.S. Constitution actually create in that document? Well, what it did was it created a federal, which is another word for national government, with 3 parts. Okay, and each part is called a branch, which is why I've drawn a tree here. Okay, 3 branches of government, and each branch does something totally different. Okay, so let's first talk about the executive branch. This is the one that most people feel like they know a lot about. It seems to be the most exciting, especially right now with an election coming up, right? So the executive branch is housed in the White House. Okay, it carries out the laws. The entire purpose of the executive branch is to make sure that any laws that are voted in are carried out. Okay, the leader is the president. The co-leader would be the vice president. Okay, it occurs in the White House, and a president is elected every 4 years. Now, you can be elected twice, but after that, you have to step down. So you could serve for up to whatever 4 times 2 is, which would be 8. Okay, they could serve for 8 years, and then after that, a new president can come in. All right, so that's the executive branch. They carry out the laws made by the legislative branch. Okay, now the legislative branch in some ways feels like kind of the biggest branch, just in terms of personnel and numbers, because there's 2 different parts of it. All right, the legislative branch takes place in the Capitol building. Okay, they make and change laws. Remember, the president carries out the laws. The legislature makes and changes laws. Okay, now the executive is carried out by the president, but the legislative branch is carried out by Congress. Okay, now there's 2 parts of Congress. I'm sure you've heard both of them. There's one called the U.S. Representatives, and then there's one called the Senate. Okay, now the Constitution, this was a big deal, how to agree to get this to work out so that every state is actually represented in the government. So with the U.S. Representatives, there's 435 right now, but that's based on population. So you get a representative based on how many people live in your state. But senators, okay, each state gets 2, no matter how big your state is, no matter how small. So California is one of the largest states in the nation, we get 2. Rhode Island, the smallest state in the nation, they also get 2. So there's 100 total senators and 435 representatives. Okay, now if you're a representative, you're elected for a 2-year term. Okay, so you can go in there and you could be in there for 2 years. All right, every state has a different amount of representatives. But if you're a senator, you're elected for 6 years. So you're there for quite some time. And remember, every state has 2 senators. Okay, they work in the U.S. Capitol building, and they are elected by voters. Remember how we talked about it's a citizen's responsibility to vote? They're also voting for the representatives and the senators, just like they're voting for the president. Okay, so that's 2. We've got 2 branches. Now we've got one more branch, and that's up here, the judicial branch. Okay, it takes place in the Supreme Court building, and its members are called justices. All right, and their job is to make sure that the laws that the legislative branch passes follow the Constitution. Okay, so the president carries out the laws, the legislative branch writes them, the judicial branch makes sure that the laws that the legislative branch writes follow the Constitution. Okay, so it's led by the Supreme Court. It occurs in the Supreme Court building, and justices, these people here, okay, They're nominated by the president and confirmed by Congress. They are not voted in. They're placed there by people that citizens vote in. Okay? So these, my friends, are the three branches of government. This is how our government in the United States works based on the U.S. Constitution. Now over here, I have a lot more detail. Okay, here's a nice picture of the legislative branch. Okay, representatives have to be at least 25 years old. Darn, you guys are too young. All right, here's the executive branch, the president, the vice president, and the cabinet, which are 15 people, the heads of different government departments. Oh, you got to be at least 35 years old. I could do it. I'm 37. All right, and then the judicial branch, 9 justices nominated by the president. No term limits. So once you're a justice, you're in forever unless you step down or you pass away. Okay, so those are the branches of government. Now what we would like you to do is just read the first paragraph on page 100 and answer question 1. That's it. Then you can stop.